Hi, this is Daryl. I took an Euro Yen trade today, and I took it based on a 15-minute and a 5-minute entry. Um, anyways, I just wanted to go over that, hoping that uh, this will give a good explanation of why I decided to take the risk in this case. Uh, so we'll start here at the top. My entry was that today being Wednesday, March 26th. Took my entry. It was during near the end of the London session, about 2 hours before the close of the London session. And my entry level was at 141.158, with a stop loss 12 pips above that at 141.278. Okay, and the reasons that I took this trade were many. So the first one is I saw a 15-minute wedge, which you can see on this picture down below here. I'll show you the entirety of this upper trend line. You can see the complete lower one, which had some good contact points here, here, and down below here, here. So they all had multiple contact points for this particular wedge. Now I also found a 15-minute price trap. That's a little blue box within the smaller, darker box, and then the gray box. The gray box, by the way, just designates London Open here on the left, all the way over to London Close. And the darker gray box designates New York Open through London Close. I highlight those because for most pairs that's where the bulk of the activity will come. However, in my watching the yen pairs, which I do watch them all frequently because I like the way they move, they get later day moves like this. So like this one really didn't start moving for about an hour and a half. This is a 15-minute chart, by the way. For about an hour and a half after the London close. And that's a lot of days that's typical for the yen pairs. So another aside too, before I get more into this, is I'm always watching the euro yen, the pound yen, and the Aussie yen, and sometimes the dollar yen side by side on one chart, just to see who's going to lead and or follow. And today, incidentally, both the pound yen and the Aussie yen were looking pretty strong most of the day. And so it was not something, this trade I got into with the euro yen short, this is not something that I took lightly. So that's why my stop was only 12 pips. All right, getting along with why I took this, price was trading below the daily central pivot designated by this pink dotted line right here, magenta I guess it really is. And so price had been trading below right in this area here where it says pivot, and it also is trading now below the bottom of this wedge and the bottom of this 15-minute price trap, the blue box. My entry, I actually did take what I would call an aggressive entry right around where this red 15-minute candle opened. Actually, it was probably at the close of this 15-minute candle because I was looking at the 5-minute for my entry. So anyway, but I had a close below both the daily and at some point, when I look at the 5-minute, I can suss this out, but at some point, we had made an approach very close to the bottom of the 15-minute price trap, and also we had actually touched the lower trend line on the wedge. Okay, so Now, price was also staying below the 20 and the 80 moving average. I know we haven't talked much about those yet, but I just use those. The kind of dashed line here is the 80, which represents the 20 on the 1 hour charts. The blue line is the 20 on the current chart, the 15-minute. Okay, price for several hours had been generally, kind of moving down. And all the price action actually below these moving averages was more prevalent than the price action above these moving averages. So that's another thing that weighed into it. And then I have some reasons up here, which I'll go over in the chart in just a minute. The daily was looking like a downtrend over the past 2 months. The daily fibs made a pullback, excuse me, to 78.6, which is my favorite fib area, between 61 and 78.6. I like those areas, and you'll see a lot of reversals there from major swing to major swing. And also, price had been trying to break a daily price trap all week long. So for the past 7 days, price has been working within this daily price trap, which I'll also show you later on. And so let me go to cover all these now before I get to the lower items on here. So starting with this live chart, it shows basically the same screenshot that I took as far as the price trap, the wedge, the moving averages, shows my entry here, which I actually made in the 5-minute. So let's take a look at that really quickly. Okay, so on the 5-minute, my entry was probably, I believe it was right about maybe at the open or close of this candle right here, probably at the close of this candle. I was trying to get as close as I could to the lower trend line for the wedge and the bottom of the box, the price trap box from the 15-minute. So anyways, this is where I got in. So like for hours, let's see, this is, let's go back to it. Well, this is good. This is a 5-minute. So for hours, let's see, well, an hour and 16 bars, 20 bars. Oh, okay, for almost an hour, it was almost an hour before I even got up 10 pips on this. So it was kind of like I was squeezing little bits out here and there of my trade just because it was taking so long and it wasn't. And meanwhile, I'm also remember I'm watching the pound yen and the Aussie yen. Now the Aussie yen had already started to kind of very slowly pull back, but the kind of pullback that looked more like just a hesitation kind of pullback. Meanwhile, the pound yen was continuing to move higher and higher, and in fact, it was even making new highs. So somewhere probably around in here, I didn't like my trade too much. I started taking some off. I think I took one position off with about 4 or 5 pips. I took another one position off at about break even, et cetera, et cetera. And now then after this, in fact, actually this is where the pound yen was making new highs right here. And this one actually did make a new 5-minute high over this high right here. So, I was, had I lost here, I would have been out maybe a total of maybe 8 or 9 pips on my entire trade, including what I had already taken off for small profits. So then, actually before it broke this low here, you can see it was quite a while. And then, of course, it shot back up because this is the round number, 4,100. Price shot back up, and then at some point when I was down making a smoothie, zip, it went way down, and I came back, and it aided my digestion. Okay, so let's take a look at some of these other things that I mentioned on here. some of these daily items. Okay, so actually, this wasn't a trade in the dark, so to speak. This is a daily chart of the euro yen. And on the daily chart, there's also a huge wedge. And this huge wedge also had a nice, um, okay, the area between this line, trend line, and this trend line, a nice, you know what this is, guys. I just got a brain fart right now. Okay, so anyway, so this bottom trend line on the daily had actually been broken, what, 4 days ago, with a nice fakey move down here. And I didn't see this at that point in time because I was still focusing on the pound odd trade that I was in. So I didn't see this at that point. I didn't see this yesterday. Boy, I'd have loved to have seen this right here. That would have been a sweet entry, which would have been about, what did I get in? That would have been about a good 60 pips higher, 65 pips higher, somewhere around in here, which, and look at these daily highs right here, all petering out right here. And then if you look back over here along the same line, I mean, you know, there's a lot of good activity above and below here where this level 142, approximately 141.90 to 142, was a controlling area where price stuttered, coughed, jerked, all that kind of stuff. So anyways, actually last night I was looking at the charts and I did see this right here. Okay, so I'm looking at it hit the back of the trend line again, and I did try a trade somewhere right around the top of this this daily candle right here, which was, yeah, in fact it was right there, it was 141.58. So I got in, and this was during the Asia session yesterday. And during the Asia session, what I did was I took a small trade, and I actually had some bigger stops because these are, this high here is like 87. I think I had one trade with a 20 pip stop from here, and another one with about a 35 pip stop, which would have been above the highs over here. So I got in. Price just went back and forth. You can't tell it in here really, but it went back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So I ended up getting out one trade -5, one trade +6 on that. So whatever, break even. So that's what was influencing me from the daily chart, not to mention the fact that this daily low, the thick red lines in my charts are always the previous daily high, previous daily low. And it was not exactly here, but it was right about here, which is the same thing. So I figured that's at least some kind of good target. Now, also the monthly pivot is this red line right down here, and the monthly pivot is you know, something that I'm going to be shooting for as one of my targets. Also, the monthly pivot, as you can see back along here, has some support areas that go, support resistant areas that go back for just a couple of months. Okay, so moving to the 4-hour chart. So on the 4-hour chart, let me see if I got all this in here. Yeah. Okay, so on the 4-hour chart, about the same time that I got into this trade today, price had been whipping around this weekly central pivot, and the weekly central pivot is in fact, you know, duly broken now with this most recent 4-hour bar. And then this excuse me, this blue line I have down here is where price is right now, and this blue line is a pretty good support, now hopefully turning into resistance area. As you can see, it comes across here and here, and all these candle bars, these candle wicks almost hit it. Same thing here, that's almost hit it, and this is the dominant low. So that's a brief look at the 4 hour. Let me see if I missed anything on the higher time levels. Okay. Oh, you know what? Back on the 15-minute chart. 15-minute chart. Oh, you can't tell now because it's changed. But the daily pivot, new day just changed. These are New York time. This broker's has New York time, so the pivot's just changed. But the daily pivot was up. Well, I can show you right on here. The daily pivot was right here, and I think it was like 141.21. And so that was another thing that helped, made me like this trade, is that the 15-minute chart was trading below the 15. Below the daily central pivot. And the same thing here. It had traded more below it than it had above it. Below it, it looked, serious trades below it. Above it, just kind of wimpy trades. Wimpy action above it. So that was another thing that influenced my entry on this. So, okay, so anyways, I'm holding my stop right now, even though price is, the trade has been up as much as, let's see, about 65 pips at one point. Now it's up about 65, about 50 pips. And, I told you I had already removed 90% of the trade. Well, that was because all this vacillating. I just wanted to, I didn't want to lose, and I figured, well, maybe it just isn't the time. Also, one thing that influenced this, and I think I can show you this in another chart, the pound yen had just the opposite going on in regards to a daily price trap. So let's take a look at that really quickly here. And this may still be the dominant force. We don't know yet. Anyway, so the pound yen daily price trap started actually right back here. Okay, so that's also been going on for 7 days, I guess. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, 7 days. Now we're into the 8th day, or 9th day actually. And so, it had broken convincingly on a 1 hour chart. It had broken the high of this price trap. And broken it, moved above it, came back and tested it once or twice. And so actually what I'm looking at the same time I'm looking at the EJ and the GJ was this action today where price had moved on the 1 hour chart above the daily price trap, closed above it here, closed above it here, closed above it here, and then it did have this big pin bar. So I like this pin bar. It's almost number 1, I believe. Let's see, this is about 27 pips. Down to here is 9. So yeah, I think that would qualify as the number 1 because it also closed in the red, and the whole body closes more than 2/3 of the way down. If I'm wrong, Lou will spank me, but that's life. Anyway, so I do like all these pin bars in the 1 hour. However, for a daily trade, for the daily price trap, somewhere right around in here might be a good entry to go long. I don't know, and that's still a possibility. However, if we go back to the daily, we have a similar situation here on the daily as we did on the euro yen. And what I mean by that is from this high over here to this high here, if we put the fibs on that, we're looking at Okay, what I don't have, let me add this real quick. What I'm looking at here is over a 78% retracement, um, which makes me kind of concerned about this because let me fix something here real quick. That's why I'm pausing. Okay, what I'm doing here is I'm adding a 92. Something that I picked up from Steve at No Brainer Trades. That's it. Okay. Okay. This is just about an even 92. Oops. Oop. Nope. I screwed up. Okay. Well, let me let me try again real quick. 92. Oh, I know what I did. Okay, there we go. So, as you can see, here's the 92 fib. So, Steve at No Brainer Trades likes this for a bounce, anyways. Now, the price didn't make it all that way. It made it to within about 30 pips of. So, anyways, just a little aside. This has nothing to do with anybody else, anybody's teaching. But what I've noticed is that anytime price reaches a 92 and bounces, it's usually a temporary bounce. However, in retrospect, you can see price didn't reach 92, so therefore it's already withdrawn more than 50%. In fact, actually 61%. If you turn this around, the 38.2 is actually 61% upside down. And but that's something to consider also. But anyways, the whole point about this is the daily trend from here has been down. This high and this high were just about the same, with this high over here being slightly higher. So the sort of a double top there, I guess. But anyways, that was just my input on the pound yen, so that I'm watching this over here once again. Refresh your memory because I kind of skip around a little bit. Anyways, the 1 hour had already closed well above the daily price trap, so I was a bit concerned about that while I'm getting into this euro yen trade short, thinking that it could just as easily go long from the daily on the pound yen daily price trap, and would carry the other yens up with it. But I did like the overall downtrend better, so that's what kind of influenced me. So that's pretty much it, and I bet this is probably running on way too long, but I will send this to you, Lou, along with my notes here, and now everybody can see why, indeed, I'm crazy. Bye.